All right, hi guys, it's Mrs. Birchall. Welcome back. So today I'm going to talk about tuning with your pegs, and this is the violin and viola video. So if you're a cello player, go watch the cello video, not this video. Okay, so we are going to talk about when you need to use your pegs, because you don't always need to use your pegs. So if your string is really loose, or it's really out of tune, and you know it's really out of tune, or your fine tuner is screwed in all the way, we're going to talk about all those things. But those are the circumstances in which you need to use your pegs. You don't always need to use your pegs when you're tuning, and you guys know that. Most of the time we can kind of get away with using our fine tuners. But right now, I can't help you tune. So you guys need to make sure you're going to try to carefully tune with your pegs if your strings are really out of tune. And I'm going to show you how to do that. And I don't want you to be scared. I just want you to be careful. So first off, let's talk about what pegs go with what strings. So I'm holding a viola right here, but the strings go with the same pegs as violin and viola. So if you look at here, right here in the peg box, you can see what string goes to what peg, which one it's wrapped around. So if you're not sure, just look up here and see which one. So this on the viola is an A string, which does not sound like an A string right now. Or for violins, this would be your E string. And that is going to go to this guy right here. Now, you have to remember, I'm looking at you, facing forward to you. That's going to be this peg right here, okay? So what I would do is I would look at the strings and trace them up here and see which string goes to which peg. Now, you have to think, this string right here, for violin and viola, this is your highest string. So this is the one you need to be the most careful with because it's your smallest string. So the smaller strings are going to break a little bit more easily. And that's also why if you have a smaller instrument, your strings can break more easily as well. So you guys have to be even extra careful if you have an itty bitty instrument. So let's talk about just how to turn the pegs, which kind of sounds silly. So first off, you are going to have to sit like this with your instrument facing you. That way you can see and you can get a good grip on the pegs, and you can hold your instrument to make sure it's just secure, because you have got to make sure you're not just holding it like this. Don't just hold it like this. Get a good grip over here. Get a good grip, but you can't clamp down on the strings because you can't tune that way. But you have to make sure you're holding your instrument in a really secure way, okay? So when I'm tuning, I'm going to look at the pegs, and I'm going to put my hand around it, or just a couple of my fingers, right? Now, something you have to do is while you're turning it, you also might want to push it in a little bit at the same time. So you're going to push inward a little bit. So that way, your pegs will stay where you want them. Otherwise, they might just go and slip back down. You don't want that. So I have my handy dandy iPad with tonal energy right here. And I wanted to use this because I know most of you have tonal energy, not all of you do. And I'll talk about another app that you can use instead of this one. But I'll address that a little bit. So tonal energy is telling me that this is an F. It's supposed to be an A. Now, you might say, well, I don't know if it's supposed to be go higher or lower. Well, think about the musical alphabet. So if I'm thinking A, B, C, D, E, F, that's really far away if I'm going up. But if I go backwards, A, G, F, oh, that's really close. So it's probably the lower F, right? It's too low, so it needs to go higher. And most of the time, your strings are going to be too low. Not all the time, but most of the time, stringed instruments tend to go flat when they go out of tune. So, all right, I'm plucking this. I have it in front of me. I'm holding my instrument nice and secure. Okay, plucking it. I'm watching my tuner to make sure I pay attention to what note it's showing me. Here, I'm going to turn my chair back around so you can see. So I'm turning it. All right, I need to make it go higher. Now, when I'm turning this to make it go higher, I'm going to make it tighter. So righty-tighty. If I'm looking at this righty-tighty, lefty, loosey. So backwards makes it looser, forwards makes it tighter. So forward is higher. Okay, so I'm going to go forward now. Don't go and turn it a lot. Turn it in millimeters, little by little, just a little bit. So I'm going to tune this, I'm going to turn it just a little bit. Oh wow, now it's F sharp. It's already higher. A little bit more. Uh-oh. Guess what? It went lower because now it's really loose because I didn't press it in. That's why you have to press in your peg. So I'm going to press it in as I turn it a little bit by a little bit. Ooh, now it's F sharp again. Oh, it's showing me A flat. I'm almost there. Oh, now it's really close to being A. Now, once your tuner shows you the correct note or it's close to the correct note, stop there. Because you want to tune with your bow after that because it will be more exact. Don't try to just tune pizzicato. It's not exact when you do pizzicato. This is to get close. It's close to A. So then if I were tuning myself, I would use my bow and keep tuning and get it exact. Now let's go to the D string. Ooh, it's showing me B. So that's too low. A, B, C, D, right? B, C, D. So it's too low. So I need to make it higher. So I'm gonna press it in inwards and turn it a little bit. Check it. C, okay, we're getting there. Turn it a little bit more, we're pushing in. Now it's at C sharp. Now it's at D flat. We're getting there. Not quite. Sometimes you have to be really patient. Don't try to do this really fast. You got to be patient with this, especially as you're getting used to it. Okay, now it's almost to D. And, okay, so now it's close. So I'm going to stop there. It's not exact, but it's close. Okay, G. G is actually pretty close, so I'm going to leave that one alone because I don't want to use the peg if I don't need to. C. Ugh. Now this one, I'm going to show you. It's showing me D flat, which means it's too high because D is higher than C. So this one actually needs to come down. So I'm going to hold it over here, carefully make it a little bit lower. Now it's showing me B. Ugh, it's too low. You have to bring it back up, press in, make it higher. Too high, bring it back down, close, and there we go. So now it's close to C, so I'm gonna leave it alone, okay? So if it gets close to it, like I said, leave it alone and then get your bow. So I wanna talk about how it can be different for everyone when using your pegs. Sometimes your instrument is, sometimes one or two of the pegs is like super easy to tune and then one of them is like really sticky. You have to be careful because sometimes it's going to turn really easily or you might have to use more pressure, but either way you have to tune it slowly. You have to be very patient with this and very cautious, okay? Because if you turn it too far, if you make it too high, it can break your string. So if you're careful, it won't break your string. But if you're not careful, you can break your string, and we don't want that right now. So those are some things. I'm checking my notes to make sure I don't forget to talk about anything. Let's see, I talked about pressing in while you're tuning. I think that's about it. Let me see. Yeah, okay. So, oh yeah, that's right. I was gonna tell you about another tuning app. That's what it was. So if you do not have tonal energy, there is an app called Tuner Lite, L-I-T-E, okay, Tuner Lite, and it's free on the Apple App Store, and you can download that, and it has a little needle that shows you if it's too high or too low, and it's the same thing. If it shows you the wrong note, then you need to probably make it higher or make it lower. You have to watch it. So that's a good free app if you need one. And if you can't find one, or you don't have a phone, or you don't have a way to download an app, you can even go and find like a piano online or something, like a keyboard, and just press A and then play your A and see if it's close. See if it sounds too high or too low. And then see if you can make it get close to it. Okay? And also, like I said, this is a pretty big instrument. This is a 16-inch viola. So it's actually pretty big. You might be able to tell from the video. But if your instrument is kind of small, if you have a half size or quarter size or 3/4, you want to be careful with your pegs. And if you have a quarter size instrument, you almost never need to use your pegs because your fine tuners do a lot for you. So the smaller your instrument, the more your fine tuners do for you. And again, don't use your pegs unless you need to. So if it's just a little out of tune, use your fine tuners. But if it's really out of tune, use your pegs, okay? And if you guys have questions about using your pegs, please message me, okay? So message me on Schoology or email me, okay? And I'll try to help you. So, but this is something that takes practice too. Just like when we're practicing scales or practicing our music, you also have to practice tuning with your pegs, okay? So don't get too discouraged at first if it's taking you a long time. It can take a long time to tune with your pegs. Even for me, sometimes it takes a long time. Sometimes the weather changes and your strings will go really out of tune. Sometimes if it hasn't been played for a while, it'll be really out of tune. So you might need to use your pegs since we haven't been together in a while. So hopefully this will help you with it, okay? So just remember, it's facing you. You're gonna hold it really nice and tight, okay? You're gonna pizzicato and check it. Make it a little higher. Make sure you're watching your tuner. You're gonna turn it and you're gonna press it in and just move it millimeters at a time. And that's pretty much all you need to know, okay? All right, you guys have a good day and happy tuning.